I'm tired of the lies they spin. They're feeding us poison, where do I begin? Every headline feels like a sin. Oh, it's a game we're stuck in, can't win. Barack signed the papers, gave them the key. NDAA took our truth, can't you see? Smithman's shadow, it's haunting me. Propaganda flows like a dark raging sea. They twist the words, make us blind. Realities are lost in their cruel grind. Who's telling the truth? Man, it's hard to find. In this media maze, we're all confined. We're rising up, can't take no more. Truth on our lips, it's time to roar. No more shadows, we'll break free. With every heartbeat, we'll make them see. Together we'll stand united and bold. No more lies, let the story be told. In this fight for truth, we'll find our way. We'll light the dark, bring a brand new day. I'm screaming loud, but no one hears. Drowning in cycles of our own fears. The truth's a ghost, shedding bitter tears. Oh, the anger rises, it's been years. So I'll sing my blues, let the world know. Fight for the truth, let the fire grow. We're breaking the chains, it's time to show. We won't be silenced, we'll steal the show. In the silence, hear the cries, voices echo, breaking tide. Every tear, a story untold. In the ashes, we rise bold. No more whispers, we shout loud. Together strong, we're a fierce crowd. With every step, we take the stand, fighting for truth. Hand in hand, let the walls shake, let the truth ring. We'll write the lyrics, let freedom sing. From the shadows, we'll break away. In this moment, we'll seize the day. We're rising up, can't take no more. Truth on our lips, it's time to roar. No more shadows, we'll break free. With every heartbeat, we'll make them see. Together we'll stand united and bold. No more lies, let the story be told. In this fight for truth, we'll find our way. We'll light the dark, bring a brand new day.
Yeah, I inhale. Before you strike that match tonight, before that little ember glows, ask yourself what brought you here and what you're hoping this might do. Is it pain that's wearing on you? Is your body wound up tight? Are you looking for some comfort, just enough to rest tonight? You don't have to chase a feeling, you don't have to prove a thing. Sometimes less will tell your body everything it needs to say. Yeah, I inhale, and I'll tell it like it is. I ain't running for president with an I didn't inhale defense. Take it easy, take it slowly, give your body time to know. This ain't about how high you're getting, it's about how well you know what you're asking from the medicine before you ever let it roll. Yeah, I inhale, but I learned to take it slow. Maybe smoke is how you take it, maybe tincture works instead. Maybe CBD brings comfort when it's finally time for bed. Everybody has a language, and no two will speak the same. So listen close to what yours tells you. Don't turn healing to a race. Take a little, give it time. Notice what has changed inside. Did the shoulders finally loosen? Did the noise begin to quiet? Yeah, I inhale, and I'll tell it like it is. I ain't running for president with an I didn't inhale defense. Take it easy, take it slowly. Give your body time to know. This ain't about how high you're getting. It's about how well you know what you're asking from the medicine before you ever let it roll. Yeah, I inhaled, but I learned to take it slow. There's a difference between escaping and giving yourself some peace. There's a difference between wanting more and knowing when you've reached that little place where pain backs down, where you finally breathe again. That's when you put the medicine down and let the healing settle in. Yeah, I inhaled, I won't pretend I didn't. No campaign speech, no clever little spin. I learned to listen to my body. I learned that more ain't always more. Know your reason, know your purpose, know what you're reaching for. Respect the plant, respect yourself, and give the medicine room to work. Yeah, I inhale, and I ain't ashamed to say it worked. Know why you're reaching for it. Give yourself time to know. Sometimes the wisest thing you learn is when it's time to let it go.
So, the U.S.-Canada trade war escalates sharply. Yeah. Canada, they announced retaliatory tariffs on roughly $20 billion worth of American products after negotiations with the Trump administration collapsed. Yeah. So beginning September 8th, duties ranging from 15 to 50% will affect approximately 700 products, including steel, aluminum, machinery, electronics, clothing, and cheese. Canada is matching the new American tariffs dollar for dollar. But why does that matter? Because American and Canadian manufacturing is deeply interconnected. All right. We need parts out of Canada. Canada needs parts out of us. Farm supplies, so on, so forth. 95% of Canada's import is through the United States, not vice versa. We only get about 5% of our products out of Canada, and most of that has to do with the automotive industry, steel and aluminum. Yeah. All right. And number two, Trump says the Strait of Hormuz has been cleared of the mines. All right. He says it's been demined and warned Iran that any attempt to place new mines will be met with immediate action. The waterway will be monitored continuously by U.S. Space Force. Why it matters, the strait is the one of the world's most important energy corridors. Reopening it safely could stabilize oil shipments and fuel prices, but any confrontation with Iran could send both soaring again. Now, that was put out by Reuters. Do I believe Reuters? No, I don't. Sorry, you're no longer fucking credible news. Okay? Understand that a lot of these things that, when I start off with stuff like this, it's because I want you to see the ridiculousness that the news organizations think that they're pulling. Okay? Then we got Iran promises resistance after the United States expands sanctions. Well, guess what? The economic warfare is going to wipe them the fuck out. They can't even afford to pay their soldiers. And from my understanding, two of the banks that were used to funnel money to the IRGC have been completely destroyed. Yeah, leveled to the ground. Yeah, but that's okay. That kind of needed to happen. First one was back in March 26th of 2026 or March 25th. It was either the 25th or the 26th of March. The second one was just a couple of days ago. So, enough is enough. All right. And then Pennsylvania, they're reporting America's first measles deaths of 2026. Here we go. Now, we knew that they were going to try and pull something up out of the woodwork to try and gain a little bit of leverage or some pushback on the American people. Stick to your guns. Don't take their shit. All right. And then let's see. What else was there? I think that was it for my immediate opening monologue of bullshit that they keep throwing at us. Good morning, Mikey B. I know it's not morning. It's actually, let's see, it's like the middle of the night for you, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken. Or just evening time, dinner time or whatever. So, but anyways, let's keep moving along. Let's get this show started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Yeah, the whole world. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide. Okay.
Hey, everyone. My name is Brian Seaver, son of Cassie Parton, and I'm representing the Parton and Owens family today, announcing the passing of my Aunt Dolly Rebecca Parton Dean, sister, sis, Aunt Granny to one generation and Gigi to the next. This video announcement is something Dolly asked of me years ago, before I fully absorbed it as a future reality. As her head of security for more than 2 decades, a role my father Larry held before me, I have imagined the heaviness of this moment, but haven't truly felt it until now. It is an honor that is mixed with absolute pride and great sadness. But sadness lies with us, not with Dolly. Dolly has lived in the light and is in the arms of Jesus, surely met by Carl, her parents, and countless others who have watched her and longed for her to meet them in the heavens. I first went on the road with Dolly as a kid, getting a taste of the road life in the early 1980s. Dolly opened doors not just for me, but for her entire family to reach the potential we didn't even know was possible. Dolly also opened doors for generations of singers, songwriters, musicians, and dreamers from every walk of life and across every continent. By her example, we believed that anything was possible. She never saw a door she couldn't open, and the doors she opened made and changed history. My family and I have shared a lifetime of beautiful memories with Dolly, but so have you. She has always been on your television, your record player, your CD, and on your phone playlist, becoming an extended part of your family, whether you liked it or not. Our family and the team she has entrusted with her legacy will work diligently to ensure her spirit will live with us forever. Dolly was a farmer, just like her daddy. He farmed the soil, she farmed songs and happiness. Dolly called me and said she wants to rest in a beautiful bed of plush cotton because after a life wearing heavy rhinestones, she finally deserves to be comfortable and have some rest. Rest in peace, Aunt Dolly, Aunt Granny, Gigi. May God bless Dolly Parton, and may God bless you all. She will always love you.
All right. Yeah, it's I have questions. I'm going to turn on my camera and I'm going to show you something. So, dead presidents
Hey,
are the only ones who go on bills. Living presidents are the ones who go on coins. Right? I believe that that's how this works. Okay, so I have a question for you. I'm going to show you a coin. Hopefully, you guys can see it. But this is a quarter from 1964 of John F. Kennedy. So, if living presidents go on coins and dead presidents go on bills, then why in November of 1964 did the Kennedy quarter come out? If it's am I making sense to you folks? Living presidents go on coins, dead presidents go on bills. Just saying, there's something to it. So, our president just paid an amazing tribute to Dolly and ordered all flags flown at half staff. Very sad to report that Dolly Parton, one of the greatest country singers and far beyond ever, has just passed away. This is a true loss for millions of people. There has never been anyone like her and never will. In her honor, I am lowering the American flag throughout the United States for 1 week, period, beginning tonight at 6 p.m. Rest in peace, Dolly. The world loves you, President Donald J. Trump. Okay. Now, see, we know things that we know things about Dolly that we recognize, you know, and it brings me to mind of many, many things, but I don't like to disparage the dead, especially the day that they die. I was a fan of Dolly for many years, but then I began to see the world that we live in. By the way, today is Jason Q's birthday, so if any of you happen to follow him, make sure you wish him a happy birthday. 50th birthday today. Happy birthday, Jason. You probably don't watch me, but happy birthday anyways. And let's go ahead and get into my reposts. All right. Now I gotta actually I probably should kind of roll this back a bit. So let's take a minute and do just that. Roll it back, roll it back, roll it back. Because I like to try and keep the timeline going forward and not going backwards, right? Right. And it's pretty much where we're at. Let's see. Right. All right. Okay. Doing pretty good at getting down here quick enough, I hope. Sorry it's taking me this long to get this all set up, but I have 10,000 things that I'm working on, and I'm trying to make sure that I get everything covered. All right, so let's go ahead and start right here. U.S. Airman Jason Watson, what?
Official charges have been filed against Air Force Major Jason Watson. Major Watson has served in the U.S. military for 17 years. He's been detained twice in recent weeks after speaking out against President Trump. First, he was arrested on the steps of the U.S. Capitol when he called for Trump to be impeached over the Iran war and other issues in his uniform. Major Watson was detained a second time the day after he appeared on Out Front and again criticized the commander-in-chief.
What is happening with President Trump is not normal. He has failed us. And not only is he a failure as president, he is flagrantly violating the Constitution, breaking the law, engaged in rampant corruption, and is killing Americans.
Major Watson has remained in custody since last Tuesday, even though charges were just filed today, so almost a full week later. Brian Todd is out front with that breaking news. So, Brian, we've got the official charges almost a week after he was arrested, and the official charges are rare. What can you tell us about them?
Absolutely rare, Aaron, especially that Article 88 charge, which I'll get to in just a moment. But just to run down what Aaron said to us about these new charges, new information. These are new criminal military charges against anti-Trump active duty, we should say. He's an active duty Air Force Major, Jason Watson. This is according to a charging document which his attorney shared with CNN. He is charged with 3 violations of Article 88 for alleged contemptuous remarks about President Trump. He's also been charged with 5 violations of Article 92 for allegedly disobeying orders, and he's been charged with 2 violations of Article 133, that is alleged conduct unbecoming an officer. Now, as we mentioned, Article 88 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, under that article, a commissioned officer who uses, quote, contemptuous words against the president, vice president, Congress, or other named officials could be punished by court-martial. And again, as Aaron mentioned, these Article 88 violations are a very rare charge. Now, in this particular instance, he was charged with this because of his June interview for a Substack publication called Defenders of Our Republic, also for his July 1st protest there that you see in the video in uniform at the steps of the U.S. Capitol, and for his August 17th interview with Aaron on CNN. Watson was first arrested in July while protesting in uniform there on the steps of the Capitol. He was holding a sign which read, "Impeach, Convict, Remove," referring to President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. He was then arrested last week after his interview with Aaron for criticizing President Trump again. In that interview, he was placed in confinement both times. An Air Force spokesperson previously told CNN, quote, "Major Watson's personal statements do not reflect the views or policies of the Department of the Air Force."
Yeah. So he's going down. It's going down. All right. Major SCOTUS victory yesterday. All right. The on mail-in ballot rules lifts the ban on 23 states. The Supreme Court has just overruled a block placed by an Obama judge preventing Trump's executive order to implement safeguards for mail-in ballots. The ruling now means states must turn over a list of every voter getting a ballot, put unique serialized barcodes on both the outgoing and return envelopes. If a state refuses, UPS will not deliver those ballots. This is a major election integrity win. Yep. So, and then the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals just ruled that the district courts cannot block immigration enforcement actions based solely on allegations against ICE officers. Fire up the deportation planes. That's right. All right. Mike Lee says with today's SCOTUS ruling, President Trump has made a giant leap forward in securing our 2026 elections. Congress must still pass the Save America Act to secure future elections. We should have passed it months ago. Thankfully, President Trump is making up for what we haven't done. Yep. So, just saying. All right. Tim Burchett says huge. Yep. All right. And then we got the.
Hold on. I'm sorry. The CIA 50 years ago knew that there was evidence that taking an anti-parasitic like ivermectin could reduce tumors, and they classified it and hid it?
Correct. It was a Soviet study. These Soviet scientists found that both tumors and parasites and these anti-parasitics exerted similar mechanisms, and they found that it exerted anti-cancer activity in animals. And that study was classified by the CIA in the 50s and not declassified until 2011. So, that did significantly set back some of this vital cancer research.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Interesting, huh? 50 years. All right. So we spoke with Oregon mother Allison Roberts, who is suing Portland Public Schools after they banned her from school grounds because she raised concerns about pride flags. Yeah.
Hey, everyone. My name is Allison Roberts, and I am the parent that is suing Portland Public Schools. I wanted to reach out and just quickly tell you my story so you can hear it from the horse's mouth. This is what happened. My children returned to school last September. I looked over and I saw a progressive flag painted on their benches. Obviously, this is now a totem of the left, which is fine. However, having it embedded within an elementary school is rather significant, and it tells me that the school's captured. I go and speak to the principal, ask how this came to be. She tells me it was a PTA move. It was asked and answered in an afternoon. So I go to a PTA meeting hoping that I can speak. I'm told that they have a booked PTA meeting come back. I try to speak again, and I'm told that I need to go through a committee in order to speak at the PTA meeting. I told them I won't be subject to extraneous measures that other parents are not, and I declined to go to their pre-committee meeting. I again asked month after month. Finally, February, when I joined the PTA, and in February, when they wouldn't let me talk again, I passed out a letter to the parent body on public property. 2 days later, I was barred I was trespassed from the school on the grounds that I had been racist to another parent. I had police show up and give me this trespass in front of my neighbors. I'll tell you, the altercation with the other parent is false. These statements they made are absolutely false. I will testify to them. I will take a lie detector, a polygraph. I will swear on the Holy Bible. They are absolutely false. What happened was we were talking about race relations. I was bringing up Thomas Sowell, Coleman Hughes. Her husband said that all white people were racist. I said, how can you say that? You are white and your children are white, pointing to his children. He said then, all white people are disgusting. I said, you're an effing racist, F you, F off, and I left. 2 days later, I got the trespass and had been barred. I wrote another letter. I gave that out. Then the school issued a letter saying that they would bar me forever, indefinitely from my kids' school. So here we are now having to sue Portland Public School for exactly $0 is what we're suing for. So that other parents don't have to feel afraid to speak up. These schools don't get our kids. They don't.
Yep. I would put a couple of million on there just because I'd make them pay. I'd absolutely make them fucking pay. It's just no doubt about it. So, and then this is kind of interesting. This came up on.
Just to be clear, as we speak right now, are the funds there to complete LA to San Francisco?
the entire amount of money we need? Not there today. But do we believe we can get those funds to get the project done? Absolutely.
How much do you estimate it's going to cost to connect high-speed rail San Francisco to LA?
Today, we estimate with the right optimization, just over $125 billion. I think $126 billion is the current estimate for that.
That's more funding than Amtrak has received in its history and still leaves a shortfall of roughly $90 billion.
That's a big gap to fill.
It is a big gap to fill, but again, we have an understanding of how to get there and to fill that gap.
A gap the authority hopes to fill with a new plan to cut costs, lure private investment, and connect to bigger cities much sooner.
That guy who was just speaking, that is a board member for the California High-Speed Rail. And what was said in that interview is that the high-speed rail project for just the section between Los Angeles and San Francisco is going to cost $126 billion. And that is more funding than the entire Amtrak system. Take a look at this. This is the entire Amtrak system. This right here runs all over the United States. Just look at how much track this is. I think it's like well over 20,000 miles. All right, now just keep this image in your head. Now compare it to this. This little blue strip is what's going to cost $126 billion in California for the high-speed rail project. That is insane. If you just go back to this, less funding than this.
Lots of questions. Lots of questions. Yeah. Nope. No more. So here we go. Fox News.
ICE carrying out one of the biggest enforcement operations ever, arresting more than 1,300 illegal immigrants across Virginia and Maryland in just 2 weeks, many of them dangerous criminals. Our correspondent Alexandria Hoff has the latest on all this for us. Hello, Alex.
Hi, Sandra. These actions were carried out quietly from the 1st to the 14th of this month, so a brief amount of time there. And it's being called not only one of the largest, but the most successful operation in agency history. Titled Operation Safe Community, it focused on the D.C. suburbs of Virginia and Maryland, 2 states that don't necessarily always admit to having sanctuary policies, but certainly have them in practice. The video that you're seeing has been obtained exclusively by Fox News, showing individuals running from officers and resisting arrest. Over 1,300 individuals in this country illegally, as you mentioned, were arrested as part of this operation. And according to what sources told our Bill Mallusion, 400 of those now in custody had criminal convictions or pending criminal charges for crimes including murder, attempted murder, rape, and kidnapping. Now, among those arrested, you have Ignar Wilfred Hueso Moran, a criminal illegal alien from El Salvador who has a warrant for murder out of Richmond, Virginia. Also, Actionel Pierre, a Haitian national with a criminal history, according to DHS, of attempted murder and 2 counts of assault. And Estela Reyes Funes, who originated from Honduras, with convictions that include felony hit and run and arrests for making a threat to bomb, burn, or assault a family member, according to DHS. Now, those are just several examples. All will remain in ICE custody pending removal proceedings. Sandra.
Yeah. So we're getting them out bit by bit by bit. Yep. Grandpa's free advice. Breaking U.S. military is preparing for its first execution in over 60 years.
The U.S. Army prepares to carry out its first execution since 1961. An internal planning document shared with ABC News Sunday shows the Army plans to execute its 4 servicemen currently on military death row. Their crimes range from serial rape to mass murder, with one of the more infamous prisoners being the 2009 Fort Hood shooter, Nidal Hassan. The White House has yet to comment on the plans, though military law states the only official who may currently sign off on the execution of a service member is President Trump.
Yep, the commander-in-chief has to sign off on it, and it's about time. Yep, and then here we go.
Trump could soon force banks to take part in an immigration crackdown. What I mean by that is sources tell CNN the administration is considering requiring financial institutions to collect and verify their customers' citizenship status, something banks aren't currently required to do. One source says the new policy could come through an executive order. CNN's Matt Egan is following this story for us. So, Matt, what are you learning about how banks are responding to this possibility?
Yeah, well, Omar, this does appear to be part of the Trump administration's aggressive immigration crackdown. Sources tell CNN's Priscilla Alvarez and I that the administration is considering new action that would require banks to check the citizenship status of their customers. Now, this would be something that would actually apply not just on a go-forward basis, but also to existing customers, which is pretty stunning when you think about just how many customers the banks already have. Now, this action could also require banks to check a different category of documents than what they normally look at, including passports. Now, I do want to stress that nothing here has been announced or finalized. It's not clear here whether or not this would come in the form of an executive order or some other action. We reached out to the White House, and a spokesperson said that any reporting on policy that hasn't been officially announced is just speculation. But some Republicans do support this. Republican Senator Tom Cotton, he put out a post on X yesterday where he said, "I strongly support President Trump taking action to prevent illegal migrants from accessing our banking system." And he said he sent a letter to Treasury last fall asking for an investigation into this matter, and that he plans to introduce legislation on this issue shortly. Now, Omar, you asked about how the industry is reacting. Officially, they're not really saying much, right? Representatives from major banks, from bank trade groups, they haven't commented on this. However, sources do tell CNN that the industry is concerned here because they're worried that this kind of action, it could almost compel them to be part of the administration's immigration crackdown. One financial industry source told me that verifying every bank customer's citizenship status would be unworkable. This source said it's a bad idea. We are very alarmed. Now, banks are required to adhere to anti-money laundering rules, know your customer rules, but they don't track the citizenship status of their customers. So if this did become official, that would certainly be a significant change. There's also some questions about whether or not this could discourage immigrants from keeping their money in the bank. Even undocumented immigrants, they do play a significant role in this economy. In 2023 alone, undocumented immigrants, they paid $90 billion in federal, state, and local taxes, and they had spending power of nearly $300 billion. And just one other point for you here, Omar. The president does talk a lot about cutting red tape. It's something he's very proud of, something that he mentioned during the State of the Union last night, where he took credit for cutting a record number of job-killing regulations. But this potential action related to banks and the immigration crackdown does show how, in some cases, the president has actually added new red tape and regulation where he sees fit. Back to you.
Something to watch for moving forward. Matt Egan, appreciate the reporting.
What it boils down to is these people who are getting the letters saying that, listen, you owe us $1 million some odd dollars for staying in the country illegally after you knew you were supposed to get out. Yeah, they've been sending out those letters. So, if I can be debanked because of censorship, okay, then guess what? They can be debanked for being fucking illegal. Don't like it? Kiss my ass. I don't care. Sign it, Trump. Sign it. All right, here we go. Truth Seeker 01011.
So I don't know if you guys have heard, but apparently the Chinese government is telling its citizens that they cannot contact extraterrestrials without permission. So a bunch of videos are going viral, like across all platforms. And I'm like, what? So I decided to check it out. And lo and behold, it's not a rumor. It's actually true. Let me show you. State-backed Chinese media did post a public warning telling citizens not to reply to extraterrestrials without authorization. But this stems from updated international scientific guidelines rather than actual alien contact. That makes no sense. What? Updated international scientific guidelines to not contact extraterrestrials without authorization. So I guess you need a permit? Anyways, usually when the government tells me to do something, I'm gonna do something like in the opposite direction. So I don't know how you contact extraterrestrials. I don't know if they use cell phones, if they've got cell phone plans, or if, like, you know, we're sending out beep, beep, beep noises. But I'm wondering, is this the start to like Project Bluebeam? Those of you who don't know what Project Bluebeam is, it's a conspiracy theory. And it was actually started by a Canadian investigative journalist who pretty much stated that NASA and the United Nations would try and do a fake alien invasion to unite everybody and also, you know, kind of tank old world religions and like all other religions and put it under like AI and like, you know, whatever. Let me just show you. Project Bluebeam is a 1990s conspiracy theory claiming that NASA and the United Nations plan to use advanced technology and stage holographic projections to fake a divine second coming or an alien invasion, aiming to abolish traditional religions and establish a totalitarian single world government. This was created by a Canadian investigative journalist and conspiracy theorist, Sergei Monast, in 1994. He says that these are the steps that they will actually do this conspiracy theory. And I have to say conspiracy theory, right? Because it's not proven yet. So give it like a year. Step 1, triggering artificial earthquakes around the world to unearth new discoveries that discredit major religious doctrines. Now, we've already seen this in like Latin America of all of the earthquakes. And also that one dude who unalived himself, who found a bunch of discoveries, if you know what I mean. Anyways, step 2, a massive worldwide holographic show projecting laser images of religious figures or spaceships into the sky. Step 3, using telegraphic low-frequency electronic waves to make people think their own God is speaking to them from inside of their mind. Now, we've already seen this, that they can actually do this through different types of declassified things. Forcing universal supernatural panic, such as a fake alien attack to drive nations into surrendering their sovereignty to a unified global authority. I don't know, dudes, but it's sounding like China's kicking off Project Bluebeam.
Very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Now I got a watch on a couple of items that I was looking into this morning. And I want to see what it says here real quick. Give me a second to check this out. Okay, so 2 verified developments clear the materiality threshold today. International operation leads to arrest and a child placed in protection. Development report, August 24, 2026. Latest operational event, August 21st, 2026. What was confirmed? New South Wales police say intelligence developed through strike forces Constantine and Trawler produced arrests in the United States, the United Kingdom, Uruguay, Poland, and Mexico. In the latest action, authorities arrested a Missouri man and placed a 3-year-old child into protective care. What remains alleged? The Missouri suspects' involvement in producing or distributing child abuse material. New South Wales police said charges were expected. The release does not establish a conviction. This is a genuine child protection outcome involving an identified child and coordinated action across 5 countries, not merely an online sting or statistical announcement. All right. Australian investigators say intelligence they shared internationally led to several arrests and the protection of a 3-year-old in Missouri. Okay. Important caution is do not state the entire network was dismantled, that every person mentioned belonged to one unified ring, or that any unconvicted suspect committed the alleged crimes. The publicity available account is presently led by a police release, and the latest Missouri charging documents are not independently identified during this check because the child is under the age. All right. And then the federal court imposes 37.5-year sentence in a multi-victim exploitation case. Okay. A federal judge sentenced a Modesto, California man to 37.5 years in prison, followed by 10 years of supervision. According to the Justice Department's account of the court records, investigators found that he had contacted dozens of underage girls online while frequently pretending to be a teenager. So those are updates that, and basically what it is I have a a geographic scope put out there, okay, and what that scope should report cover. All right, United States first with major international cases, and I've got it checking for material at least once an hour. So it is consistency in monitoring what is going on where arrests are concerned in regards to the children. This way here, then we can be more up to date as to how many children are recovered through ICE, how many are recovered through HHS, how many are recovered through the FBI, how many are recovered through each of the law enforcement agencies, so that we, as the American people, can see that something is in fact being done. Now, I'm going to say this, and he may not like it, but Gene Ho, I'm going to say for right now, go fuck yourself. Okay. I've been online talking about child trafficking for over 10 years. Okay. And to say that podcasters are refusing to cover this topic, you're full of shit. Not only do I talk about my experience and what happened with me, but I also put music out regarding it and, awareness, not only for kids, but for adults as well, to be mindful. See something, say something. And I really hate it when these big podcasters get on here and they start running their pie holes, okay, and downing people and saying, oh, nobody's covering this, nobody's talking about this. We've been talking about it for years. For years, we have been talking about it and nobody fucking listened. So don't think that just because you're some big account and you got some fucking magazine behind you, okay, that you're going to disparage people who are actually on YouTube, on X, on Rumble, on Facebook, and other platforms that have been talking about this for years. And I really hate the fact that you big names seem to think that you're all that. You owe a large number of podcasters a fucking apology, Gene Ho. A very large. We've been talking about this for years. We talk about the recovery of children. We talk about the more than 500,000 children that were brought across our border. We were talking about it before you even started thinking about it. Now, you put some pretty good content out there, but you should never, ever disparage an entire podcast community thinking that you have an upper hand on something. Those of us who were victims that are survivors, we say to you, go fuck yourselves. Because where were you when we were talking all the time about it? All right. And this guy, he's got an opinion too. We're going to let him have his opinion.
Hey, did you guys know that flock cameras will spontaneously combust, especially when they're placed near the gun range in Ocala National Forest? Check this out, you guys. They found that both of them had spontaneously combusted at the same time. And this has only happened to the ones right next to the gun range in the Ocala National Forest. I guess that placement there made it so that it was extra hot, and that sun in that location that was somehow magnified by the pine tree sap that condensed and created like you know how like a microscope, it like shoots a beam and you could like burn stuff with it. Yeah, something like that happened with the pine tree sap in that area. I think you notice how that pine tree right there is looking really guilty. Anyways, I just wanted to say that it's never good to have flock cameras, but it's especially not good to have them next to a gun range, because the pine trees there have an extra amount of sap in them that creates this glass-like ball, and when the sun hits it just right, it can aim at the flock cameras and cause them to combust through the fault of no human being. But yeah, these flock cameras are completely melted, as you can see, and I just wanted to report to you this because it's important news for our area of the world. And yes, don't be a goy. Follow your boy. Keep on noticing with me.
Flock cameras are it's spontaneously combusting. Yeah. It's it's just saying. All right, Eric Daughtry says a stunning streak of wins is emerging for President Trump, and it's terrifying Democrats. Supreme Court currently upholds mail-in ballot restrictions, 200,000 foreigners to have their visas revoked. ICE scores major win in federal court over activist judge blocking deportation. ICE carries out historic deportation operation in Virginia and Maryland. Ilhan Omar now has an active ICE investigation into her. A $103,000 fine is coming on H-1B visas. Hormuz oil is approaching pre-war flows in recent days, and more. Midterms fast approaching, and Trump's MAGA war chest is opening. I was never in any doubt, not for a second. Yep, I think Trump knows what he's doing. You know, I'm just saying. I think there's a lot more to. There is so much more behind the scenes that we don't hear about, that we don't know about, that he has to deal with. Plus, trying to keep MAGA happy is not an easy task to do. You know, it's not. Just saying. Not easy to please. Okay. But common sense goes a long way, a really, really long way, yeah. So, Department of Deportation, they say this message is to all illegal immigrants: leave while you can. We are willing to give you $2,600 and a free flight home. You might end up getting dropped off on a land of an African cannibal tribe if you don't. Yep. And that's because, Cuban deportee says he only learned the U.S. was sending him to Africa after arriving in Central African Republic, is now trapped there and cannot leave. He doesn't have paperwork. Can't get out of there. It is really that simple. So, and I'll give you this here.
To be deported to Africa?
No.
Last year, Cuban immigrant Yasmani Moreno de Armas was working and living in Florida. He's now in the Central African Republic, sent there by the Trump administration in late July, alongside dozens of deportees. We cannot leave, we don't have documents, and we're suffering and missing our families in a continent we don't know. He told us from Bangui, the country's capital. Before arriving there, have you ever heard of the Central African Republic? Never. The Central African Republic is one of the poorest countries in the world. Armed conflict, political instability, and Russian mercenaries have also made it one of the most dangerous. Eritrea native Zina Gebrazavier is also stranded in Bangui.
I'm missing my family.
His American citizen wife and their 5-year-old son live in Maryland.
My son, he asked like every day to my wife, what is my daddy?
Dirgalem Gebrahiwet called her husband's deportation inhumane.
He played with me a lot, and then he missed me a lot, and I miss him a lot.
Nathan is so hurtful more than us, because he loves his dad.
CBS News could not find any criminal record for either man beyond traffic and immigration violations. There are some people here in the U.S., Yasmani, who would say that if you're here illegally or without papers, you should be deported. What would you say to them? You're saying people should be deported to their home countries, not to random nations in Africa. And Tony, the deportation agreement with the Central African Republic has remained shrouded in secrecy. We do not know, for example, what that country is receiving in return for their deportees. The Department of Homeland Security has not responded to requests for comment. What is clear, Tony, is that the administration sees the deportations as an effective way to deter illegal immigration.
The cruelty is the point.
In this case, it is.
Oh, the world's smallest violin is playing for you right now. Yeah. Just saying, there's a whole lot there. A whole lot. Yep. All right, moving on. Let's see. Then we got this guy.
His fierce fight against radical Islamic groups in his state. And now he's targeting a Muslim community leader who donated to a foundation that critics claim is funneling funds to Hamas. Correspondent Brooke Taylor reports live in Dallas. Hi, Brooke.
Hi, Julie. There has been a big fight here in Texas between Governor Greg Abbott and the Muslim community after he designated the largest Muslim advocacy group as a foreign terrorist organization. So in North Texas, a Muslim community leader, Marwan Maroof here, is soon going to be deported. He's been in ICE custody since September, and then just last week, an immigration judge issued him a final order of removal. Now, according to DHS, Maroof is from Jordan and overstayed his visa. They shared, quote, Maroof was denied a lawful permanent resident visa due to his involvement with a foundation that provided material support for Hamas, a designated foreign terrorist organization. The Council of American Islamic Relations, known as CARE, has been fighting for Maroof's release, describing him as a pillar of the community. Well, Texas Governor Greg Abbott responded to this on X. He said, quote, this is another example of CARE Texas's support for Hamas and terror. Abbott designated the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE as foreign terrorist organizations earlier this month. He said, quote, the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE have long made their goals clear: to forcibly impose Sharia law and establish Islam's mastership of the world. The actions taken by the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE to support terrorism across the globe and subvert our laws through violence, intimidation, and harassment are unacceptable. CARE Texas fired back with a lawsuit against Abbott, and community leaders together held a press conference urging him to retract his proclamation, calling it defamatory and dangerous.
This designation is unconstitutional, unsupported by any credible factual basis, and represents bigotry on its face. It stigmatizes an entire community and chills the First Amendment rights of Muslim Texans and all organizations engaged in lawful advocacy.
And CARE has been accused of funneling millions of dollars to Hamas, something that the group denies. Meanwhile, since 2008, the FBI has entirely cut ties with the group because of their alleged links to Hamas. Too late.
Brooke Taylor, thank you.
Yeah. There's a whole lot there. There's a whole lot there. Yeah. It's, yeah. And then we got this. So, major ICE win. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals had prevented district court judges from blocking the ICE operations. And now the rioters, I guess you want to call them. I don't really call them protesters because they tend to be more violent all the time. And then we go from there. So I'm gonna stay away from that one. Let's go here.
The president of Microsoft may be the next Antichrist. This is on the internet. I found this. Revelation 13:18 says, "Let anyone who has intelligence work out the number of the beast, for the number represents a man's name, and the numerical value of its letters is 666. Bill Gates' full name is William Henry Gates III. Nowadays he's known as Bill Gates III. By converting the letters of his current name to the ASCII values, you get the following." And this is where it's ironically dumb. Bill Gates, like Bill Gates 3, goes 66 plus 73 plus 76 plus 76 plus 71 plus 65 plus 84 plus 69 plus 83 plus 3 equals 666. The president of Microsoft.
Yeah. That's an old VHS tape from the 90s. Yeah. All right. And then we got this here.
All right. As mentioned, breaking moments ago, the Supreme Court with a decision that will allow the Trump administration to move ahead with their plans to cut the federal workforce, at least for now. Justice correspondent David Spott, give us the backstory here, reporting live from Washington. Hi, David.
Hi, Martha. A nice Tuesday afternoon win for the Trump administration. And it's funny because the justices normally are on their summer recess right now. Doesn't mean they don't work behind the scenes, but these justices have been busy because of these executive orders and the way they've made their way through the legal process. But this right now is a order from the Supreme Court essentially saying that a San Francisco judge who put a stop to the Trump administration from cutting several federal agencies, they're saying that the Trump administration, in fact, right now can continue forward as the case plays out on its merits. So essentially back in May, several different agencies sued. They said that the Trump administration wanted to make cuts at the Departments of Agriculture, Commerce, Defense, Energy, Health and Human Services, Homeland Security, HUD, Justice, Labor, State Treasury, and Transportation, pretty much all of them. Now the Supreme Court is giving the Trump administration victory some almost 6 months into the president's second term here, saying that they can go forward with these reductions in forces. You may remember that this was part of the DOGE effort when Elon Musk was still hanging out around the White House. But President Trump today, Martha, during the cabinet meeting said that some of those DOGE moves made sense, were important. And this was a campaign promise and a promise really of this presidency to cut some of these federal agencies. And now this administration can feel vindicated from the Supreme Court as they move forward and make some of these cuts, Martha.
Yeah, just a couple of quick questions for you with regard to whether or not this comes from the Supreme Court's decision that one judge cannot overrule a presidential agenda item. And secondly, what is the impact on whether or not the executive branch, the President of the United States, can cut funding that Congress has approved for these agencies prior?
So I'm going to take the first one first because I know the answer to that much better. The Supreme Court did come down, as you mentioned, with an opinion recently before they did break for their summer recess, albeit they're still working, and said that nationwide injunctions, which were these nationwide pauses, those no longer can go to the level where they did before, where a judge in San Francisco can change a policy for someone that's living in Boston, Massachusetts. So likely this is something that plays into that because this was a federal judge in San Francisco that said that the Trump administration cannot fulfill this executive order, which affected people that worked at all these different federal agencies. The second part, I don't want to give the wrong answer. I'm not 100% sure. I'm still reading through this Supreme Court opinion. We didn't expect this to come out today, or I should call it a Supreme Court order, rather. But certainly, Martha, this is something that the Trump administration is going to tout. They've been looking to make cuts in these agencies, and really things have been on pause for this Justice Department and this administration in many ways because they've been tied up with these lower courts, with the district courts, with the circuit courts. And then the Supreme Court delivered them that gift just a couple of weeks ago and said that these nationwide injunctions in many cases must not go forward.
Yeah.
Yep. So fired. You're fired. Yeah. And then this happened.
It's not political. It's not religious. It's not ideological. For each other will carry us through. Yes, our love for each other will carry us through. We're here with our courage. It's not political.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The woke mayor of Boise was just forced to take down the LGBTQ flag at City Hall after a new law passed. A massive victory for common sense. That's right. All right, little Kelsey Graham.
Kelsey, you and I have been friends for a long time, and I know this is personal for you, and it's partly why you're at Trump's rally just recently in Long Island, where the crime issue is so critical to the voters. Kelsey, welcome.
Right. Hey, Laura, how are you? Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I reached out to you because I was there at that event, and I noticed that the news people didn't really cover it. And at least what was important to me, and there was really good news that day. I'm a member of a club that most people don't want to belong to. None of its members want to be in it. My father was gunned down in his carport on the island of St. Thomas when I was 14 years old. My sister was abducted and raped and murdered when she was 18. For the first time in my life, because of the work of the men and women of the police departments throughout this country, and because of the work that Donald Trump has done, for the first time in my life, I could rely on the idea that fewer families would be joining my club this year.
Yeah. How about that? Excuse me.
Kelsey, you and I.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a club somebody wants to belong to. So then
These problems are problems that have built up over decades, and there hasn't been a Congress that's been mature enough or a president that's been mature enough to take this head on.
I can end the deficit in 5 minutes. You just pass a law that says that anytime there's a deficit of more than 3% of GDP, all sitting members of Congress are ineligible for re-election. Yeah. Now you've got the incentives in the right place, right? So it's capable of being done, and they're trying to use the incentive now that we're going to blow your brains out, America. In terms of your debt worthiness over time, and that's being used as a threat. A more effective threat would be just to say, if you guys can't get it done, we'll get some other guys to get it done.
These problems are problems that have built up over decades.
Yeah. But Elon Musk says this is the way. Yep. This is the way. All right, here we go. Peter Navarro.
White House senior counselor for trade and manufacturing, author of Why Fauci Must Rot in Prison, Peter Navarro. Sir, look, I want to get to Canada in a sec, but this refinery thing could make almost every other foreign entity that hates us null and void.
Carl, I've been fighting this refinery fight for years, going back to the first term of the Trump administration. It's ironic, where you have the most drivers and the most miles driven, California. Can you get a refinery there? No. Can you get a pipeline there? No. There's just a disconnect between people's understanding on the left side of the political spectrum what it takes to have a strong nation and what they support. So you're really right to focus on this. I remember back in the first term, one of my passions that President Trump ordered me to do was getting our shipyards back in shape. And when he sent me to the Philly shipyard, we had less than 100 workers there. And I was able, working across the interagency, as they say, to get it back in shape. And it's one of the strongest shipyards now we have in the entire country. But right across the way, Carl, there was a refinery that we could have been having, we could have been using, and it was just sitting there. And so that's where we're at. And pipelines and refineries, the left blocks, and then they bitch about expensive gasoline at the pump and try to use that as an election issue.
And that's after, by the way,
job of you and I and others to connect those dots so people understand why gas prices are high. It's
Well,
all about the refineries and pipelines we're not getting done.
They complain
And
about
there
it.
is a segue in there because one of the things we're trying to do with that Canadian deal is to get the Keystone Pipeline.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say.
So, there's an important pipeline that goes across that border, and that fell apart when Carney, the prime minister, pulled his latest Trump derangement syndrome tantrum.
Yeah, Peter, and I was going to go into that, which is, this is something that they had protesters up there protesting it for environmental reasons that left behind 40 dumpsters worth of trash because they don't actually care about the environment. But now Vice President J.D. Vance is actually holding nothing back. He just destroyed Canada today. Watch this, sir.
Canada allows itself to be used as a backdoor for Chinese goods. They treat Chinese goods more fairly than they do the goods that come from the people of Maine. Stop taking advantage of America. It's over. We expect fairness in our trade policy.
When I heard that, I was shocked. I actually went and looked it up from 5 different sources. He's 100% right. That drove me insane.
Nobody, Carl, in the White House has more experience with the trade negotiators of Canada. Bet you didn't know that. But it goes back to 2016, like the day after the election of Donald John Trump. Wilbur Ross, who would be the Commerce Secretary, and myself began negotiations on the U.S., what would become the USMCA. And I can tell you, as much as I love Canada, as much as I love the Canadian people, as nice as the Canadian people are, their trade negotiators are arrogant, backstabbing people. They're just besides the Chinese and the Canadians are the hardest ones to deal with. They're the only two countries retaliating against us. But let me explain the politics of this, because people are scratching their heads. It starts with the fact that Canada cheats us. They cheat us on dairy. They won't let us sell our alcoholic beverages there. Lumber's a mess.
Yeah.
And we gave them a really good deal. That deal was so good that it kind of made me a little bit nervous because it was a good deal. It was a fair deal.
Mm-hmm.
Jameson Greer negotiated it well, but it was right up to the edge where you want to be about being as fair to your trading partner as you possibly can. And that Carney, he said he went off on his Trump derangement thing, and here's the rule here. There's a rule here. The higher Carney goes in his polling in politics, appealing to this Trump derangement syndrome, the lower their economy is going to fall.
Yeah.
That's the disconnect. And I would say this, and I've been saying this directly to the Canadian people. Please understand, when you reward Carney every time he trashes Donald Trump, you're basically shooting yourself not in the foot, but in the head in terms of your economy.
Oh, no, 100%.
And you got to stop that because it's just wrong. And if you just look at what they do, and here's something. I'm the only guy who can tell you this, okay? Because I go back. The problem stems from when we originally negotiated NAFTA. I wasn't any out round, but the people who negotiated that deal, the Canadians, were playing chess. We were playing checkers. They outsmarted us, and from that day on, they've been arrogant, and they thought they could beat us every time they sat down with us. And they're overplaying their hand, and this is not a good thing for the hemisphere. And push has got to come to shove. But I'm telling you, Canada, you're not getting as good a deal as you just got. Okay,
well,
you blew it. And something's got to give here.
Especially if Alberta leaves. I mean, they are totally screwed. They can join America, though. Peter Navarro, my man, pleasure as always.
And don't forget Fauci. He must rot in prison. Get the book on Amazon, friends. This one's going to be a blockbuster.
I will read anything about throwing Fauci in jail. So that's a great book for me to get as soon as I get done with the show. All right. Peter Navarro, we appreciate it, sir.
All right.
He loves the Constitution.
All right, and then we got this.
Do you ever want to get married or have children?
No.
Thank God. Thank the Lord for that.
I will say something though. This is going to upset you.
Go for it.
I am going to be a teacher, and I am going to indoctrinate the youth, and I'm going to teach them all about the gay agenda. So your children aren't safe from me. Sorry.
Really? So what you're saying is that you want to brainwash the youth of America
Yes.
to live this lie. Do you
Well,
want to
I'm a
get?
stupid
Do you
whore.
ever want to get married or have children?
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. I feel sorry for any school that would accredit this woman and give her a teaching degree. I'm just saying, she's telling you outright what she's willing to do. Um, you know, and yeah, I'd like to find out what school she's planning on going to work for. This is a clip from the Ted Cruz podcast with Clarence Thomas.
Really didn't like people saying, you have to do this, you have to do that. We had this saying that there's only two things I have to do, stay black and die.
Yep.
And that was a retort to people who had these sort of requirements for us, these mandates for us because of our skin color. And the thing that's really kind of interesting, it wasn't until later on that people began to say that when I came to this town, one of the greatest difficulties, if you think about it, was that there were those who thought that I should think a certain way.
Yeah.
And the difficulty has been that they said that, oh, you're confused. Well, I'm not confused. You're confused. You confuse me with someone who's been in indentured servitude or something. But at any rate, they think that here's the way you're supposed to think. Again, here's your skin color. There's this kind of deterministic view that you're supposed to think this because we say so. And I, of course, declined that invitation. And so now that means it's something that I'm a walking contradiction because I've deviated from their perception of what I should think. Explain to me how that is different. Here's what I've asked people. I said, when I was a kid, the Savannah Public Library was segregated. I said,
yeah. Clarence Thomas says, I don't play by your rules. And I respect that. Let's go here.
What you think about the Denver airport? Oh, I've been there. I've been there a number of times. For one, that's one of the biggest airports I've ever been in my life. And the fact that how massive that airport is, it's just as big down below. But underground, like they have tunnels and it goes for miles and miles. Now you can say it's for transport, but why is it that they have a horse called Blucifer? Red eyes and whatnot. But here's the thing about Blucifer. The person who constructed that horse actually killed him. It fell on him. They throw it in your face. Like, we go all around the airport, aliens here, aliens working on construction. And I mean, you got the murals, like a lot of chaos going on. You see children over here. There's fires. I'm like, what is this? We talked about how there's potentially civilization in the water, in the ocean. But what about on land? I'm sure Denver Airport isn't the only place where they have civilization underground. For sure. There was a former Bush official that worked in the housing department. She came out and disclosed that there's $21 trillion missing in the government. And she said that there is essentially a black budget, which is off the books. They built underground civilizations, not only on land, but in the water and around the circumference of America.
Around the circumference of America. Yeah. Rapper Response 47 posts Donald J. Trump, the failing Islamic Republic of Iran, is not paying large segments of their military while at the same time killing protesters, even when they are not protesting, at levels not seen before. It is a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions and must be stopped now. Yeah. And then we got this.
The two students treated for opioid overdoses at Parkview High School in Sterling last May survived after the administration of the drug Narcan. Loudoun County Sheriff Mike Chapman says that incident led to an investigation. Last Thursday, the investigation resulted in the arrest of 31-year-old Isaac Melendez Carranza after a search warrant was served at his residence in Sterling.
We found that the subject in question, Isaac Melendez Carranza, actually had over 100 fentanyl pills with him at the time, in addition to several $1,000s. So it looked to me like he was getting ready to do another delivery to somebody.
In 2023, Parkview High School was the scene of a series of 8 student overdoses, thankfully all of them non-fatal, in a 3-week period. It caused intense community concern and worry for families. Melendez Carranza has not been charged or even named in connection with those incidents. Sheriff Chapman says investigators determined he entered the U.S. illegally from El Salvador a decade ago.
He came in the country illegally 10 years ago. And so, had that not happened, maybe this would have never happened. So just so you know, DHS, there's a detainer on him.
Melendez Carranza is currently being held in the county detention center. In Loudoun County, Jackie Benson, News 4.
And there is a detainer on him. Says it flat out. Yeah. So this is a video from September 11, 2001. A CBS journalist walked into a building few people remember seeing from the inside that morning. This is building 7.
Stay on left. On the last one. There's nobody up on 23? No, they evacuated everybody down. All right, they're probably going to the bus. Thanks. Yeah. What happened? Did the side of the building come down? I don't know. Something fell. What you see? It was pretty clear at one point, and then just a whole bunch of smoke and glass. And I think we're just about the last ones in this building right now. I think you should leave. Everybody else is gone. Okay. I'll just make sure that there's nobody else coming downstairs. I hear the top of the building fell down. Fell over on us. I don't know. I haven't seen outside yet. Have you when you ran here? Here after your planes landed? As a matter of fact, we're standing right underneath 6 World Trade when the building actually, the plane hit it the first time. Describe it. A plane, the engine screaming, and then just an explosion. Glass. Then everybody was running around trying to get away. To get up there? You can take the stairs. You get the stairs down here. All right? I got the stairs. Go slow. The dust is starting to settle. Just tell them to go slow. I'm going to work right now on the fireman. I'll be right back. You going to stay with him? You're going to stay with him? Okay, I'll double back. What are you guys doing now? We had a report of a fireman trapped over here on the northwest corner. So I'm going to make sure that we got people over there to help dig him out. Sure, no problem. Still on the trip over here.
Yeah. Just saying, there's a lot more to Building 7 than anybody knows. So, the United States is giving serious consideration to change the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America, in that we don't expect to do much business with Ontario any longer. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. I love this. He says, he's like, even though nobody gives a fuck about these little minuscule changes that you want to make, even though it would cost taxpayer dollars to officially make the change, replace the signage, etc. Oh, Yeah, but you sure as hell want to pay for some dude to get some tits so he could be a chick with a dick. Yeah, just saying. There's too much there, way too much there. You know. And then let's go here, Pete Hegseth. Here we go.
American battlefield readiness runs through our small businesses. It always has. The vehicles, the planes, and even rifles in our warfighters' hands rely on a supply chain of hundreds of specialty producers. A Patriot missile depends on hundreds more. These are the local factories, the shop floors, and the labs forging the arsenal of freedom. And that's why today, the Department of War and the Small Business Administration are establishing the Smaller War Plants Commission in the spirit of the historic Smaller War Plans Corporation, surging capital and expertise to support the innovative entrepreneurs, manufacturers, and workers every day expanding America's defense base. Our message is clear. President Trump is ending the era of dependence on foreign supply chains and our adversaries. This historic long-term commitment will reinforce the industrial depth that stands proudly behind the strongest military on earth. When we back the businesses who supply our forces, we outbuild, out-innovate, and overwhelm any adversary. We are transforming industrial capability into generational battlefield advantage. And in doing so, we will deter conflict, preserve peace, and ensure that no adversary tests American strength.
Secretary Hegseth has established the mission. America must build what our military needs when it needs it, right here at home. That's where our most innovative, agile businesses come in. The SBA is proud to join the Department of War in establishing the Smaller War Plants Commission. This name reflects the SBA's predecessor agencies formed during World War II and the Korean War that backed the mission-critical small defense manufacturers that armed American forces through victory. That mission continues today as we back the small manufacturers that comprise 70% of the defense industrial base. Today, the SBA oversees nearly $500 billion in a small business portfolio, and we're bringing our proven capital access and investment model together with the Department of War. Our joint mission will supercharge funding to those building our supply chain, tooling up, expanding, innovating, and hiring to deliver capability to the warfighter. The era of offshoring the production of power projection to our adversaries is over. Thanks to President Trump and Secretary Hegseth, the world's strongest military will be backed by the world's most nimble industrial base, offering our warfighters asymmetric advantage and our nation peace through strength.
Thank you and all the small businesses you help empower every single day for making it happen.
Well, it's my honor, and it's an honor to serve alongside you. I'm grateful for all you do for our nation and for our warfighters.
Likewise. All right, let's sign it.
Thank you.
What a great initiative.
So they're about to put a bunch of small companies back into production. Yeah. All right, let's go here. They're cracking down hard in California. Gavin Newsom in the state of absolute panic just signed the Nick Shirley Act, which literally shields immigrant data from public records. Yeah, it's going to come to an end. Let's see. And then I have just been informed by the United States Navy that all mines have been removed or detonated from within the international waters of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has been notified that any ship or boat placing new mines will be immediately and systematically destroyed through Space Force. We are watching every square inch of the strait, and we are also with Pickaxe Mountain and the already destroyed 3 other nuclear sites. There is a zero tolerance policy on mine placement in full force and effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. All right. And then let's see. Now, this is the thing. They just, people are complaining about water disappearing already, and data centers aren't even built yet. Just saying, there's a big hoopla going on, and I'm waiting to see more information in it before I jump on board and start reporting on it. Minnesota's Keith Ellison is hunting an ICE agent, Christian Castro. Shot a Venezuelan illegal who'd been released under Biden during the enforcement operation. Yeah, there seems to be something there. Okay, give me a second here. I've got to check on something. Oh, trying to get food today too, so. What are they trying to do? What are they? Okay, show me this. Okay, and really hate it when they do that. Okay. All right. Sorry. Two. See. Let's see if this does it. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. All right. Bear with me. Okay. Should be all set there now. Okay. All right. Caught up over there. Yeah, so they're trying to get that guy out of Texas and go after him, just crazy. 3 U.S. Postal Service workers were just indicted over $23 million in fraudulent check scheme. Suspects are the usual suspects. Ringleader Tremaine Bond was also out on bond for murder in Fort Bend County, according to the records. This is crazy. These people getting away with all kinds of crap. Let's see. So ICE posts record 50,000 arrests in July of 2026, highest single monthly total in history. Yeah. So, and then this is kind of interesting here. China is officially moving its yuan onto the new gold standard. Okay, so China internationalizes the gold-backed yuan and payment system for the first time ever. So China's going on the gold standard. So what does that lead us to? I think that leads us to us going down the gold standard relatively quick. So Autist17 says, seems this may be the turning point. No pay, no play. When this happens, the Islamic regime is done. Q New. The failing Islamic Republic of Iran is not paying large segments of their military while at the same time killing protesters, even when they are not protesting at levels not seen before. But Post 1604 says at some point military generals will act with the will of the people simply because their soldiers are those same people and have no choice. We stand with you. We are monitoring the situation closely. Stay safe and God bless. And then, so there's that. And this I've got to read to you guys. Memphis burglar picks the one house he really shouldn't have bought. Yeah. Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis police say one would-be burglar is reportedly reconsidering several of his recent life choices after breaking into a home where the homeowner apparently takes the phrase "protecting my property" very seriously. Neighbors near South Parkway reported hearing a man screaming around 3:15 a.m. Witnesses initially assumed somebody had discovered their Waffle House order was wrong. Turns out it was 28-year-old Derek D. Caldwell, discovering that he had selected perhaps the worst possible house in Memphis for a midnight burglary. The homeowner, Raymond Ray Boudreau, is a retired corrections officer, amateur taxidermist, and self-described backyard combat enthusiast. So basically, Derek picked a house where the welcome mat should probably read, "You break in, we both have a bad night." Police say Derek entered through a rear window, apparently unaware that Ray's homemade security system is set to what he calls Armageddon mode. The system reportedly includes floodlights bright enough to illuminate Arkansas, a speaker that blasts Ray yelling, "Who goes there?" and the release of Ray's extremely enthusiastic pit bull, Brutus. Derek allegedly made it approximately 6 feet into the kitchen before Brutus introduced him to the hardwood floor at a speed normally reserved for NFL linebackers. Unfortunately for Derek, his landing spot was directly beside a rack of homemade deer jerky, because apparently even the snacks were against him. Yeah. Ray told officers he came downstairs calm as a cucumber, wearing pajama pants and carrying a cast iron skillet. He said the skillet was for balance. Sure, Ray. No problem. We got that. Derek was reportedly lying on the floor in the fetal position, apologizing to Brutus and possibly reconsidering every decision that led him to that exact kitchen. Ray allegedly looked down at him and asked, "Son, did you mean to break into my house, or did you just terrible at reading Google Maps?" Derek reportedly replied, "Sir, I made a mistake." Ray said that was the first accurate thing he'd said all night. Police say Derek was cooperative when they arrived, mostly because Brutus was sitting on him. When asked what he learned from the experience, Derek reportedly said, "If you're going to break into somebody's house, maybe don't pick the one with a truck outside that has a bumper stickers saying 'I wrestle gators for fun.'" Police confirmed Derek faces burglary-related charges. They also reportedly confirmed that his dignity is already serving a life sentence. Ray declined to pursue additional action, saying the boy's pride is gone. That ought to be enough. And honestly, somewhere tonight, Derek is probably staring at the ceiling, wondering how a burglary turned into a free lesson in home security, animal husbandry, and poor decision-making. Memphis, where even the burglars occasionally discover they have made a terrible investment. Yeah, that was put together by Cliff Messer. Thank you, Cliff, for that very enlightening story. You possibly made mine. Yeah. SG Anon says the dollar's dead. Nobody playing the game gets a free pass. Nobody. Q. Yep. If you fed the flame, you'll feed the fire. You'll be consumed in it. Yep. So, all right. And that's where I'm going to have to leave it for today. I am at my time limit because of the fact that, number one, I've only got enough fuel for today and tomorrow. If I turn off the generator now, I might be able to stretch another podcast into it, and we'll go from there. So with that, I'm going to thank you all for joining me here today. And I hope that you got something out of this. And, just remember, God loves you. Jesus loves you. I love you. And we will see you again. I'm not going to say when, either tonight or tomorrow, depending on where we're at. All right. Peace.
Is this old world round, or is somebody lying? Is there an ice wall nobody's supposed to get by? What's beyond Antarctica? What's under the snow? And why is asking questions mean I ain't supposed to know? Did we walk on the moon? What's hiding at Area 51? Did somebody see something they weren't supposed to have seen? I sparked up a little something, settled back in my shed. Now 100 damn questions run around in my head. They're running around in my head like smoke through my lungs, like THC rolling through my cannabinoid system. One question leads to another, then another one says, wait. If everything they're telling me is true, why is questioning it so damn dangerous? Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm misled, maybe I'm just thinking with too much running around in my head. Who really pulled the trigger when Kennedy died? Where the hell's Jimmy Hoffa? And who knows where he lies? What crashed down in Roswell? Was it weather or more? And what are those things Navy pilots keep seeing offshore? Does my telephone listen when it's laying by my chair? Does some computer know what I buy before I'm even aware? Hell, I only wanted one quiet afternoon instead. Now the whole damn internet's running around in my head. They're running around in my head like smoke through my lungs, like THC rolling through my cannabinoid system. One question leads to another, and then another one says, wait. If everything they're telling me is true, why is questioning it so damn dangerous? Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm misled, maybe I'm just thinking with too much running around in my head. Who's writing all the history? Who decides what gets taught? How many things we once believed turned out to be not? What's buried under black ink, marked classified? How much does the government know that it never tells outside? Who's watching the watchers? Who's checking what they say? And if somebody wanted power, would they take it or infiltrate? That's when I looked at my joint and started laughing instead. Boy, look what you've gone, and started running around in my head. I don't believe every story, I don't swallow every claim. Just because it's called a conspiracy don't make every conspiracy the same. Some fall apart with daylight, some leave questions when they're through. So I'll keep asking what I don't know and checking what I think I do. Still running around in my head like smoke through my lungs, like THC rolling through my cannabinoid system. Maybe there's no ice wall, maybe Roswell was nothing at all. Maybe Hoff is underneath some long forgotten shopping mall. I don't need every answer before I climb into my bed. But Lord, it's been one hell of a ride running around in my head. So pass me another question, I'll research it instead. 'Cause the truth ain't scared of looking, and neither is my head. goes again.